Occasionally, I drop a teacup to shatter on the floor.
Welcome to Shattered Teacup. On this channel, I'm going to be talking a lot about games, movies, board games, things that I love, that I have a passion for. I'm going to keep this channel also mostly positive. I see a lot of negativity online, and this is going to be geared more towards positive stuff, especially now amidst COVID, protesting, election. I feel like I, for one, need some positivity, some encouragement, and some things that excite me. So, to start this off, I'm going to talk about Tenet, Christopher Nolan's new movie. I saw it twice now, and holy shit. This movie has everything that I personally want from a movie. Amazing action set pieces. It has a thought-provoking plot with characters that I find at least compelling. So that's my spoiler-free reaction to it. This isn't a review, it's just simply my thoughts getting out there. So I saw Tenet, and I saw it in a theater where there were two other people. I had a mask on the whole time, and they cleaned it right before I got in, and they cleaned it right after I left. And I live in a very small town. So that's my safety disclosure. Anyway, basically Tenet is inverting time. Future is sending messages back through the past, and you are catching them. And when you see where the plot's going, it instantly just feels so perfect and whole. Because throughout the movie, he's doing these series of events and taking these actions and making these choices. You see some reactions, and then you see some mystery playing out too. Like, for example, when him and Robert Pattinson burst into this high-tech, high-guarded art museum. Rob it or they search it for some device that they're looking for that communicates with the future. When they find it, out bursts from either side a man cloaked in black body armor. He fights Washington down the hall and does inverted action moves, and you're like, holy shit, this is so cool. I don't know how they filmed it. On the other side, Pattinson chases down a different guy that burst out of his side and grabs his helmet and takes it off, sees his face, but the audience doesn't see his face. Then he stops, hesitates, turns around, and runs back. Before Washington shoots this guy, Pattinson pulls him off, and the guy inverts out of the hangar they're in and off into the night. Whoa, that was insane. Maybe, as you learn, you start to think, maybe that was Washington and Pattinson traveling back through time. Then, boom, last act of the movie, they do that shit. They fucking go back in time and have to retrace their steps to try and catch the bad guy and stop him from ending the world, not through nuclear holocaust, but through sending people back in time to kill themselves, thus ending all humanity that has ever existed and any trace they ever had on Earth. That's the stakes that they're at. So the stakes are very set from early on in the movie, both personal and global. Because Washington has a love interest played by Elizabeth Debicki. She is amazing. I loved her in Widows. His interest personally is her, making sure she's safe. There's no real love connection. It just seems like he just genuinely cares about this person. There's a whole sequence halfway through the middle where John David Washington's doing this Bond-esque performance where he takes the role of a super rich guy doing something and sneaks onto the boat of the villain played by Kenneth Branagh, who does a great job playing an evil Russian guy who has a Thanos god complex where he wants to become a god and end the world and stop it from being this currently evil world that we currently live in. But he has the ability to communicate with the future. Later on, it's explained that there's basically two opposing forces in the future. One that is pro-life existing on Earth, and one that's pro-ending life on Earth. And the ending life on Earth team have chosen Kenneth Branagh as their champion to end the world. John David Washington is the champion to save the world. Anyways, this movie is so cool. The fight scene between John David Washington and John David Washington as they fight and flip back and forth and over. The fight scene on the road both times, when he's driving in reverse time and trying to figure out how to drive a car that isn't cooperating with him, while trying to figure out how to stop the bad guy from getting this device that he accidentally later gives him because he fucks up and doesn't know what he's doing. More violence than Nolan's typical movies, where I know like he did Dunkirk, which is a war movie, but it has more gore, I guess, than typical Nolan movie. But it doesn't feel unwelcomed. It kind of feels like, oh shit, these stakes are real. These people are real. They bleed. Not profusely, it's still PG-13, but they bleed. And that kind of brings it more grounded in our world, while also being very grounded in the world that Nolan's presenting to you. The music also, I can't not talk about the music, is fitting. It feels a bit Zimmer-esque without copying him completely. There's no set moments of brilliance within certain pieces. And in one piece, when he goes backwards through time and he's trying to find himself and stop himself from giving away the device, the score is playing backwards from the same score that was playing before. And that was just a brilliant moment of both, I guess. There's a moment in this movie that reminded me so much of Arrival's ending, where Pattinson knows vaguely that he's gonna die in this big climactic battle, but he also knows it's not his time yet. He knows he'll have to be sent there, and that's where his story ends. But his story doesn't end yet, so he's gonna keep living. But for me, that arc for Pattinson was beautiful. It was like a reverse arc. We see where he is, where he ends up at the beginning of the movie, and we follow him back to the steps of how he got there from the beginning by the end. Yeah, long story short, this movie is super cool. If you can't catch it in theaters because of health reasons, that's totally fine. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe, just thanks for watching.